Every single Friday, I send a short newsletter out to 300 plus marketers on fresh ideas on how to make money through content. And just 6 weeks ago, our newsletter did not exist. Now we have an audience of just over 300 marketers, modest but growing. Here's how we built it. I want to share all the details with you. Let's get into it. All right, happy Friday. And for those of you, first of all, let me just start off with those of you who do not yet get the Fresh Friday Finds email. You need to go to getheard.substack.com, getheard, HEARD.substack.com, and subscribe, because we started our email newsletter about 6 weeks ago and now have a decent and growing audience of about 300 marketers who receive it weekly. Our engagement rate is pretty good. We're right around 30% open rate and about 10%, 10 to 12% click-through rate, which, neither are world beaters, but are fine. We could do better for sure, but pretty encouraging when you consider it didn't exist 6 weeks ago, and it's really just been kind of a labor of love starting off. So here's how we make the newsletter each week. I just want to share this with you because it's a lot easier than I think a lot of people think it would be. And it's obviously valuable enough that we've got this very small but growing audience to engage with it. So let me walk you through the process. All week long, I collect interesting little trends, articles, tweets, whatever, that could be helpful for the audience. And I'm doing this with the foreknowledge that I have 2 slots to fill every Friday. One is already dedicated to promoting whatever episode of Content is for Closers came out that week. So I have 2 more, because I do 3 total, that I need to fill, and I want to have plenty of options to choose from when I do so. On Wednesdays, I begin writing the outline for that week's newsletter. It comes out Friday, hence the name Fresh Friday Finds. And so on Wednesdays, I'll begin writing the outline. Typically, this involves gathering the links I want to share, developing some commentary around what I think is important about that, and just getting some loose structure as to, okay, I think I want to use these 3 points, or I want to use these 4, and then I'll eventually, bring it down to 3. On Thursdays, I actually flesh out the email, write it entirely, send a draft, test all the links, send it to myself, schedule it in Substack, all of those things. And generally always send out a tweet or LinkedIn post inviting new audience, reminding my audiences on those platforms who might be new to the newsletter that the newsletter's coming out and they should subscribe if they want to get it tomorrow. And that seemed to, grow us at least somewhat over the last 6 weeks. Then in the newsletter itself, I include a call to action every week, or an Easter egg for those who read all the way through. So in the past, this has included things like free coffee on me. I just Venmo people for replying and telling me they want the free coffee, and that's worked out pretty well. I've also offered 1 hour of consulting, and this one I really like because it is a time commitment. Like I have to, depending on how many people respond, I have to spend an hour with them, but it allows me to get to know certain people from the newsletter that I might not otherwise really know personally. Like there's some people I'm obviously familiar with, whether they be customers or former coworkers or whatever. But there's also a lot of people in the newsletter that I don't know. And so if they respond and say, yeah, I'd like to take that free hour call and just brainstorm or whatever, it allows me to meet people and to understand who the audience is even better. Then that's sent out on Fridays. Like I said, on Mondays, I'll review what was most engaged with, and then continue the process of collecting the info for that Wednesday when I begin the draft process again. So all in all, it sounds kind of like a lot, but really, aside from the consulting hours, when people take me up on that, the email only really takes me probably 2 to 3 hours per week in addition to my normal work, because I'm kind of collecting everything throughout the week, doing writing as I go. And so it really only takes probably, like I said, 2 hours, and especially now that we're in a little bit of a rhythm. And it's great because it keeps us in front of my audience, especially this particular audience, in an additional way for people who may not listen to the podcast, right? Or they may not have worked with us previously. So it's something that's an additional piece. It gives people who would prefer to read than listen a way to interact and engage. And it's something that seems to continue to gain momentum. So we'll definitely keep doing it. But I'd be curious, respond. If you got the email, it came out today. If you got the email, then respond in the email, or reach out to me however you want, adam@strivefire.com, and let me know what are some of the newsletters that you really like. What are some of that are your favorite that really provide value to you? I'd be curious to know. Otherwise, appreciate you all listening to this every single day, and I will see you on Monday.